Bayern München, German champions for the 25th time, the last 24 of them in the Bundesliga.
We're happy. Every title's special and the league's the acid test for consistency.
The test Bayern set themselves year in, year out. A club never content with second best.
After all their success, the team's persistent hunger is really impressive.
A title won on the back of a World Cup hangover for many of them at the end of an injury-plagued season. It's records.
It's fantastic.
Bayern's squad is one of a kind.
On the trail of the champions, we look back at Bayern's third league title in a row and ahead to future targets still in their sights.
We'll be going all out for this record.
Helping us along the way, legendary head coach Ottmar Hitzfeld, long-time captain and club icon Lothar Matthäus, and the current sporting director, Matthias Sammer. Marienplatz in the heart of Munich, scene of many a title celebration. It's a familiar sight, the conquering heroes taking their due from the City Hall balcony. Party time for the team and tens of thousands of fans in the Bavarian capital.
It's a great place to celebrate. It's the loveliest balcony in the world, and the fans are in super form.
We knew it was going to be a fantastic experience. It's all down to the fans really being up for it and turning out in such big numbers.
They do these things in style here. Before the action had even got underway in earnest, a 65,000-strong crowd rolled up at the Allianz Arena for a pre-season rendezvous with a squad that included half a dozen freshly minted World Cup winners. A source of no little pride for the club, but also some concern.
It's not easy to maintain your consistency and appetite at such a high level over the longer term. It can be very tricky.
It's a big psychological challenge for the players. Going all the way in the World Cup, being hailed as champions. There's always a real danger of losing focus afterwards.
They weren't the best of circumstances going into the season.
Bayern's first competitive game ended in a 2-0 Super Cup defeat at Dortmund. That was the first title of the season gone already. To make matters worse, Javi Martinez, freshly restored to the heart of a new-look three-man defence, was promptly sidelined again with a cruciate ligament rupture, joining fellow long-term absentees Bastian Schweinsteiger and Thiago. Head coach Pep Guardiola was not a happy man.
I'm pretty sure we're going to have some problems all the way through to the winter break. But that certainly doesn't mean we've already given up on trying to win the league.
Some good decisions were made then, namely bringing in Mehdi Benatia and Xabi Alonso.
Signing Alonso was a very astute move on Bayern's part. A lot of people couldn't understand it, because he's at the tail end of his career. But he was the right player, brought on board at the right time.
A football cosmopolitan drawn to Bayern's never-ending quest for fresh titles. Xabi Alonso already had quite a collection himself. World and European champion with Spain and a two-time Champions League winner. Ready for a change after 5 years in Madrid.
I felt that I needed a new step in my career, a new challenge, and there was not a better place to come than FC Bayern.
At 32, Alonso was still ready and willing as ever to expand his horizons and test his own limits. Within weeks of swapping Madrid for Munich, he had set a new Bundesliga record with an incredible 204 touches of the ball at Köln on matchday 6. At the drop of a hat, Bayern had a new midfield maestro.
Deep midfield's a pivotal position in the Guardiola system. You need great match awareness and the ability both to open up the game and organise your defence.
Of course, my task will be try to have that composure, to have that maturity on my game. With the years, you try to run less, to think more.
With Alonso doing just that, Bayern's fears of getting off to a dud start were soon transformed into the familiar scenario of the Munich star ensemble striding from one victory to the next. On matchday 5, they went top of the table for the first time. Xabi Alonso was proving the perfect catalyst to kick-start Bayern's bid for a third domestic title in a row.
Alonso was sensational in the early part of the season. He brought order to Bayern's game.
He's an important player. He helped Bayern perform at the level expected of them. He's shown how good he is for the collective as well, and for team morale in general.
Good team structure, a good, healthy team spirit, and all-round positive atmosphere. Keeping all that in balance with such a big squad isn't always easy, but we made a very good fist of it.
That positivity was put to the test over the course of a campaign where one piece of bad news followed hard on the heels of another. The Bayern casualty ward was seeing far too much of some key performers. Skipper Philipp Lahm only appeared in 20 of the team's 34 league matches, as did his deputy Bastian Schweinsteiger.
The long-term injuries to Philipp and Bastian were a big problem. Being without them weakens our entire structure.
The situation called for an internal realignment. That can backfire or enable you to grow as a team. In Bayern's case, it was the latter.
Hats off to Jerome Boateng. He's been very consistent, for one thing. But on top of that, he's also becoming ever more focused on his place in the team as a whole. And he's not averse now to expressing his dissatisfaction if needs be. Thomas Müller's taking increasing responsibility as an on-field leader as well. He's older and more mature now and has a lot of experience. And they're just two examples of players stepping up to the plate and taking on more overall responsibility than would have been expected of them not so long ago.
Manuel Neuer also falls into that category. In the absence of others, the keeper led the team out 7 times last season.
Neuer is certainly one of the faces of Bayern. Manuel Neuer's an ambassador for German football as well. He's got a strong character, he's reliable, for me and for the club. Manuel Neuer, Philipp Lahm and Bastian Schweinsteiger are our absolute team leaders.
Neuer has effectively redefined the goalkeeper's role, routinely expanding his area of operation to well outside the penalty box. He's taken on some of the chores of an outfield defender, while continuing to master the traditional basics. He's the classic shot stopper, but prefers to try and prevent it even coming to that.
It's state-of-the-art goalkeeping. He knows when to stay on his line and when he has to come off it. He's brilliant at keeping in tune with the flow of the game, even when we're defending high up the park. He basically functions the way the sweeper used to. He can play outfield despite his size. He's got all the necessary agility, technique and speed for it.
Neuer's the complete package and the best custodian in the business right now.
Neuer, great save from the world champion.
In January, Neuer was named world's best keeper for the 2nd time running. And topping even that, he was recently named the world's sports personality of the year.
For me, he's already been the world's best for 3 or 4 years.
He's one mighty final hurdle for any opponent to overcome. Just 4 goals conceded before the winter break made for another Bundesliga record. With Neuer as their last line of defence, Bayern can literally look forward with complete confidence.
With a keeper like that, the defence know that even if they slip up, he'll likely have it covered. And that gives any defender a bit of added confidence. We can stand here every week saying the same thing. He's the best keeper in the world.
Manu is exceptional. He's exceptional.
The football world at large evidently agrees. Neuer made the shortlist for the FIFA World Player of the Year, finishing 3rd behind perennial contenders Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi.
I'm just happy to have been part of it all.
I've nothing but respect for all the great German keepers, whether it's Oliver Kahn or Sepp Maier. It's difficult to draw comparisons, but for his all-round game, I'd say Manuel Neuer comes closest to perfection.
Much the same could be said of Bayern's overall showing throughout the first half of the season.
Oh, it looks so easy. This is training ground stuff.
14 wins and 3 draws took them into the winter break out on their own at the top. The pre-season Never Say Die slogans had long since given way to confirmations of their own class.
This is a team with tremendous character.
11 points clear of second-place Wolfsburg. Bayern had their rivals pondering how to even get close to them again.
The first thing you have to do against Bayern is stand up to them, which means getting the balance right between defence and attack. You need to press them at times, and then drop back again. Mix up your own game a bit.
In the first game back after the winter break, Wolfsburg did just that to stunning effect. A 4-1 defeat away to their closest pursuers.
It was a wonderful performance from Wolfsburg. We were pretty complacent going forward and kind of neglected the reverse gear as well. And we were really punished for it. That was a valuable lesson for the rest of the campaign. And believe me, in sport, that's occasionally just the thing you need.
These were the legs about to get Bayern up and running again, attached to the player who provides the team with a seemingly inexhaustible source of attacking inspiration.
When Robben gets past you, he's gone.
Week in, week out, Robben was showing one rival defence after another a clean pair of heels. When the Flying Dutchman is on his game, Bayern's attack has a whole new dimension to it.
Guardiola's made him even better, given him even more confidence on the ball. We've got a great coach and he's still helping me improve. It's fun being out there every day with the lads.
After the Wolfsburg debacle, Robben spearheaded February's campaign of atonement. He scored in every league game that month, 7 goals all told.
Once again why he's one of the most feared strikers in the Bundesliga. Oh, it's quite spectacular. That's looking good. It's in with a header from Arjen Robben.
Opponents were being routed like never before. Hamburg suffered the ignominy of a club record 8-0 defeat. Paderborn didn't fare much better the following week, hit for 6 without reply. Bayern were playing themselves into a veritable goal frenzy without ever taking anything for granted.
It doesn't all come automatically. You've got to work for it, every time. If you fall a bit short, you'll likely be punished. So you keep your foot down from start to finish.
If you look at how professional his attitude is, it's really quite exceptional. He's a role model for other players, especially the younger ones.
Robin chipped in with 17 goals towards Bayern's title defence, a career-best total, scored in only 21 games over a fantastic campaign, ultimately cut short by injury. In the matches where he did feature, he was almost invariably the focal point of the team's most incisive attacking play.
I think Ayen's learned to read the messages his body's giving him, and he's adapted his approach so that he'll sometimes be operating at 80 or 90% in training, still totally focused, but without pushing himself past the physical limit. That's been a definite change, as I've observed it anyway.
Ever onwards, perpetual motion, twisting and turning all the time. At 31 and a star of world standing, Robin is still working on his game and himself. He's less of an individualist now and more of a team player on and off the park.
He doesn't hold back in the changing room. He'll make his point, and the hierarchy's very accepting of that.
I'll be playing for Bayern now. It's a step forward in my career, for sure. Bayern are one of the top sides in Europe, in the world.
Joining Bayern's a difficult process. You're under more intense scrutiny. It's a very different environment. You have to get used to it, and Lewandowski was no exception.
Robert Lewandowski came on board at Bayern as the Bundesliga's top scorer, a title he claimed for the first time in his final year at Dortmund. He arrived in Munich to exorbitantly high expectations, and knowing he would have to demonstrate his versatility anew, adapting to a different role up front.
Most teams play more defensively against Bayern, so he had to get used to having less space and time on the ball than had perhaps been the case at Dortmund.
He's got unbelievable quality. You see it all the time in training. That's why Guardiola never lost confidence in him, even after the odd poor performance. And that's important with your top signings. Strikers in particular thrive on confidence.
Even while he was still finding his feet early in the season, Lewandowski showed exquisite glimpses of his true potential, not least against the very club where he'd risen to international stardom. His leveller in the matchday 10 meeting with Dortmund, paving the way for Bayern's dramatic late victory.
Everyone knows that playing up front for Bayern München is no walk in the park. Bayern have a bit of history and tradition when it comes to strikers. The bar's been set very high. And in that context, I can only say that Robert Lewandowski's had a very good first year here.
And as the injury crisis hit its peak, Lewandowski really stepped up to the plate. The Polish centre-forward got back in his habitual sharp-shooting groove down the final straight of the season, with Dortmund once again among the victims. In the return meeting at his former stomping ground, Lewandowski's goal made the vital difference.
I enjoy any chance I get to play in Dortmund. We're obviously satisfied to be coming away with the win today.
He really hit his stride as the season progressed. The others have adapted to him as well. Guardiola's settled on his position, centre-forward, and his goals are the payback.
Lewandowski finished with 17, a very solid return in his debut season, and Bayern expect a whole lot more to come.
As he continues to get to know his colleagues and the club as a whole, I'm very confident he'll be able to demonstrate his undisputed world class for us on an even more regular basis. For me, Lewandowski's the best centre-forward in the world.
A collection of footballing virtuosos. And he's the man who's fused them into an all-conquering ensemble. At the point of sealing the Bundesliga title, Pep Guardiola's side had only been beaten twice.
Bayern have become even more dominant in possession and proactive about putting their stamp on the game. They're pressing even more effectively as well.
Many elements of Bayern's game are reminiscent of Guardiola's great Barcelona side, but he's also adapted that style to the different requirements of the Bundesliga.
I've got to know him as a brilliant tactician with a really unique football philosophy. It's pretty inspirational. He's always trying to take it in a new direction.
He's not afraid to experiment and comes up with good ideas.
Guardiola's team are taking versatility to a new plane. His players can switch systems and positions at a moment's notice with an almost eerie unflappability.
What Pep Guardiola has done at Bayern is simply fantastic. He keeps driving the team on, never easing up. He's always trying something new, keeping it all very intense.
At Dortmund, Guardiola racked up his 50th win in only his 61st appearance on a Bundesliga touchline. No other coach has come close to that. Matchday 30's win against Hertha paved the way to another top-flight milestone. Successive titles in his first 2 years in the job.
Many thanks to these players. I can bring them on, but it's ultimately down to them. Congratulations. The players are the most important part of this club.
Guardiola and Bayern, a club and its coach in perfect symbiosis.
He shows emotion and passion. He's meticulous about the details as well, just totally steeped in the game.
He's always asking about the club, its history and traditions. In doing that, he helps me as well. I need to keep working to get that way of thinking off pat. We've a wonderful relationship. For me, Pep's the real deal, a genuine football purist.
Bastian Schweinsteiger's the real deal as well. A one-club man, Bayern to the core. Sidelined for 4 months after the World Cup final, Schweinsteiger returned to the fray against Hoffenheim last November. The reception he got when he came off the bench told its own tale.
I can say it's certainly very moving to be given such a great welcome from the crowd. It made every training session since the injury worthwhile.
Bayern's final game of the season against Mainz. In his 500th competitive outing for them, it fell to Schweinsteiger to net the final goal of a championship-winning campaign. It's his 8th Bundesliga title, an all-time record he now shares with fellow Bayern legends Oliver Kahn and Mehmet Scholl.
A tremendous player for Bayern and a World Cup winner to boot. He's up there now in the pantheon of all-time Bayern greats.
No post-match Bavarian title celebrations would be complete without the obligatory oversized beer shower or the optional attempt to escape it.
There were a few jokers around as usual. I prefer to drink the odd beer, but I had to put up with a couple of showers. It's all part of the package, and I reckon it's worth the sacrifice for a title like this.
Ich denke, da kann man sich schon mal opfern für eine Meisterschaft.
Dante, Rafinha and the lightness of being. For all their injury woes and a pre-season World Cup marathon for so many of their stars, Bayern finished 10 points clear of second-place Wolfsburg.
I wouldn't say everything went the way we'd hoped, but we still won the title.
We hit the ground running and dominated the league. It's great to get your hands on the trophy at the finish.
Another memorable campaign is at an end. And Bayern, being Bayern, are already eyeing up the next Bundesliga record.
Here's one for next year I can tell you about right now. A 4th consecutive championship. That would be a first for the league, and obviously it's already on our radar as the major challenge for us next season. And we'll be going all out for that record.
Wir werden alles geben, diesen Rekord zu schaffen.